Welcome everyone to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk around the NHL. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Matt, lots to talk about. Playoffs are in full swing, and I want to start it off right away with, obviously we have a post that's gone viral already today. If you haven't seen it yet, Ovechkin knocks Svechnikov right out in a Battle of the Russians. Great fight. I don't know what Svechnikov was thinking. But if you haven't seen it yet, go to our Facebook page, B&B Hockey Talk, have a look at it. But let's start off. I wanted to start off with the two series that are 3-0. Islanders over Penguins, and Tampa Bay down to the Columbus Blue Jackets. One of the greatest seasons ever, and they see themselves down 3-0. And the thing is, I look back in the Columbus series, and at all points of that series, other than game one in the first period, it's been all Columbus. Is Tortorella just a genius from that speech he gave in between periods, or is Columbus playing the way they should have been playing all year?
Yeah, it's just like with like Columbus, like all year, like all they've had was controversy all year. It's like from the beginning of the season when like Bobrovsky and Panarin said they both weren't going to re-sign, and they had to address that, and then you had the Bobrovsky suspension, which was in Tampa Bay, and then all the trade deadline guys like Duchesne was pretty quiet after the trade deadline, and those guys weren't working out.
And Duchesne's playing phenomenal right now.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden everything just came in. Like that second period, like the two saves that Bobrovsky made, the 2-0 save on Kucherov, and then the glove save on Stamkos at the end of the second period in game one, and then Foligno scoring on that breakaway, getting that one goal in the second period, and then all of a sudden, like that goal by David Savard, turning a Norris Trophy winning defenseman Victor Hedman inside out to make it 3-2, and then they just came in. But the biggest thing is that Tampa Bay is totally off their game. Like in game two, when Braden Point was dropping the gloves with Zach Werenski, it's like, they're in Tampa Bay's head, because like those star players, like they don't act like that. And then you had the Kucherov suspension, him hitting Navarro from behind there. It's just like everything's falling apart. And there's like, I was reading up the stats, like Tampa Bay had only lost 2 straight all season once, and that was in the middle of November, and they hadn't lost 2 straight games at home all season long. Well, they lost 2 straight to Columbus in the
now they lost 3 straight.
Yeah, and now 3 straight. They hadn't lost 3 straight games all year. And also Stamkos, Kucherov, and Point, they hadn't been held off a score sheet in multiple games, only in the 2 straight losses in mid-November. At least other than that, at least one of those guys had gotten a point in a game. So it's just crazy. Everything's coming apart. Hedman's injured now too. But yeah, it's just like Duchesne's really stepped up. I think he only had 12 points since getting traded, but he had 4 points in game 2, and he had another big goal in game 3. And Sergei Bobrovsky, talk about this was like the biggest question mark, is it's like because of his playoff history. He's finally getting the support, and he's playing amazing, out-battling a really good goalie in Vasilevsky at the other end. But yeah, just everything's coming together at the right time for Columbus.
Yeah, and I had told some friends of mine, going into the playoffs, I would hate to play Columbus. And they're like, "It's Tampa Bay. Don't worry about it. If that's the series, Tampa will easily crush them." And I think a lot of people, if this continues to happen, I think a lot of people's playoff brackets are going to be absolutely busted. But to me, as much as they haven't really proven themselves in the playoffs, I kind of felt that this year, as long as Columbus got into the playoffs, that it was their year to prove that they belonged in the playoffs. And you can never, I looked at Werenski and Jones on defense. You look at their top line, guys like Duchesne and Panarin and Dubois. And with Bobrovsky and that, I was like, that's not a team I would want to play against, even if I was the top team in the NHL. As deep as Tampa Bay is, they've just, like you said, they've looked off-kiltered. They're starting to run into some injuries. They're running into something they haven't faced all year, which is adversity. And hopefully John Cooper gets them back into it. So the other series, Islanders, Penguins. Man, the Islander fans have absolutely carried that team their first 2 games. But again, from the start of that series, it's been all Islanders, and Sidney Crosby's still nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm. Man, that atmosphere in Nassau Coliseum, no other arenas come close. Like, it's just hands down the best atmosphere in the entire playoffs so far. Like, you got the fans chanting defense. Like, that's a football chant. Like, nobody, no hockey crowd has a chant like that. But it's basically like a soccer stadium in there. It's just like it was nonstop cheering throughout both of those games at home.
And the fans are standing the entire game.
Yeah, it was just absolutely nuts. But they are just smothering like Crosby, Malkin, Kessel. Like those guys can't get anything going. Robin Leonard has been playing amazing in net, and they're basically just doing it by committee, like the way they've done it all season. Matt Barzal, that game one, that overtime move that he had, and then Bailey scoring. Just that was so sick. And then their defense. Well, it's like I'll pump the tires on Devon Tays, our homegrown guy in Abbotsford, having a tremendous series for the Islanders, and I think he's getting some real recognition around the NHL with the way that he's played. But yeah, they're just doing it by committee, and Crosby and those big guns. They just haven't looked right this series, which is weird. But Matt Murray, like I think he's been playing decent in net for Pittsburgh, but it's just you need the goal support in front of you.
I think Jordan Eberle has found his playoff vibe, finally getting his first few playoff goals in the NHL, as he wasn't able to do so in Edmonton. But you mentioned the defense of the Islanders. I mean, just by committee, guys like Pulak and Boychuk and Leddy and Taves, they're just the way they've been playing. They're blocking shots, they're keeping them outside. And the other thing I had mentioned to a bunch of people before the playoffs started is both the Islanders and Vegas, I was worried about because of the way the fourth lines on those two teams played. And they're both proving me right now. Like the Islanders' fourth line, Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, and Cal Clutterbuck, they've been out there against Crosby a lot, and they're playing like, a second line, the way they're checking them and controlling the play, getting the puck in deep a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Vegas series, you got the Ryan Reeves line and just banging people around and stuff. We'll touch on that in a bit. But, yeah, I think Pittsburgh's in big trouble if they can't get anything going early tomorrow night in Game 4.
Man, I think the Islanders will sweep tomorrow. It's just I just can't see anything from Pittsburgh forcing a Game 5, and even if they do get to Game 5, that the atmosphere in Game 5 going back to Nassau Coliseum, it's gonna be crazy. The only thing that sucks is that this is the only round playing on Long Island, so the rest will be in Brooklyn, which sucks. But man, the Islanders. They've had the most everybody's doubted them from day one this season, and they've been proving everybody wrong this entire year.
Well, and you can never underestimate the coaching there. I've always said that coaching system from worst to first that Barry Trotz has them playing some team defense right now. And I don't know the goaltending coach there, but man, has he ever done a great job with Leonard and Greg.
Mitch Korn. I think three organizations with Nashville, Washington, and now the New York Islanders, where he's led the team to the least amount of goals in the NHL to win the William Jennings. Just absolutely crazy.
That's unreal. Let's talk about the other two Eastern Conference series. Let's go Carolina and Washington. First, Washington looks like they picked up exactly where they've left off. Tom Wilson and Michael Ferland battle has been looking pretty good, although Ferland got kicked out of Game 2 with a bit of a questionable hit on Nick Dowd. Looks like he's back, though. And then Ovechkin, Svechnikov tonight. Carolina's making it a game. They're down 2-0. Carolina's winning Game 3, though, right now, 2-0 as we speak. Trying to claw back in the series. And I knew it was going to be tough in Carolina because the crowd there is helping with the surge. Do you think Carolina has enough to claw back into the series, or is Washington just going to overpower them?
Yeah, this has been really interesting because the Washington's gone off to 2 quick starts in the first 2 games, but each game Carolina's slowly clawed back each time. So they've really made it a series, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina won both games at home, just because they've shown that ability to claw back and be really resilient. Yeah, it's like getting over like the Ferland hit, which I saw Rod Brindamore and his reaction there. He was really animated about that, especially after Ovechkin had a high hit. I think a little bit earlier, right before that. It's like for me, I don't think as much as I hate Michael Furland, being a Canucks fan in that series, I don't think he should have been thrown out after a few more looks at it. But it did change the game there once when he was thrown out. And then Brooks Orpik, scoring that OT winner in Game 2, became the oldest defenseman in NHL history to score an overtime winner. And he's only scored four career goals in the playoffs in 151 games, and 3 of them have been game winners, and 2 of them OT winners. But yeah, it's like getting into it. Like Mrazek, he's been playing really well in net. And then the big guns, Sebastian Aho, had a nice goal there off the bank shot, and then Carolina's defense, Jacob Slavin and Dougie Hamilton. That top pairing has been playing great. Brett Pesce and Justin Falk have been playing great. Their defensive depth, I think, that is a lot better than Washington's. Actually, I think outside like John Carlson being like that one elite defenseman that they have.
That Washington power play, though, is still a lot of fun to watch for sure. Let's touch on the other series. Got it super physical, Game 2. It's a 1-1 series right now. I see tonight Toronto's up 2-1. Trying to get the stranglehold on obviously they're in Toronto now, so they're trying to keep home ice advantage and get a stranglehold on this series. They lose Nazem Kadri for the rest of the playoffs. As he's been suspended by the league for that cross-check to DeBrusk's face. Exact year to the date that he got suspended for hitting Tommy Wingles last year. There's a lot of people in the media are saying that, they're asking the question, is it time for Kadri to go in Toronto? What are your thoughts on that and just in the series in general so far?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's just suspended for the rest of the first round, just to correct you. It's a weird suspension, which it's like usually it's a certain amount of games, but just for an entire first round, well, that could just be a couple games, which is weird. But yeah, it's two years in a row that Kadri's taken a selfish retaliatory penalty that's led to a suspension. Yeah. I know the officiating in Game 2 was really bad both ways. Like I know before that, like DeBrusk had that questionable knee-on-knee hit on Kadri, which I don't think DeBrusk. I don't think it was a dirty play or whatever, but it should have been a penalty at least there. But the refs were letting so much go both ways. And that really plays into Boston's hands when it gets really physical like that. But yeah, Kadri is just like DeBrusk hits Marleau into the end boards there by the bench, which it never looks good when you have a hit like that. But Marleau popped right back up and he was fine. And then Kadri just reactionary, just comes up with the stick and nails DeBrusk in the head. And then after that, it's just like Chara's trying to like Chara could have probably beat the crap out of him if he really wanted to. Like he was trying to pull Kadri back off of DeBrusk, but Kadri is just like after when you hurt the guy, he's trying to land on top of DeBrusk and try to give him a couple more shots. It's just like what are you doing, man? It's just you're costing your team 2 years in a row, especially with the way that he was playing in that game. He scored a goal too in that game, and he was one of the more engaged guys in Game 2. And that pass in Game 1 to Nylander for his goal was a heck of a pass. But yeah, he's one of those difference makers for the Leafs. And especially in the shutdown role that he plays, it's a huge loss for Toronto, and I think it could cost them the series again this year against Boston, because it's like Mitch Marner has played really good, but Austin Matthews, I'm not sure if he scored tonight or not, but he really needs to step up in this series. Yeah,
By the way, an update on both the games. Toronto's now up 3-2, and Carolina is now up 3-0 on the Caps.
Sheesh, Yeah, it's those Hurricanes, man. It's just especially on home ice. But yeah, with Toronto, like I thought William Nylander had a really poor game in Game 2. Like that play that he had that resulted in the third goal. It's just like yikes, mishandling the puck like he did. Freddie Anderson, I think, has really answered the bell in both games. I felt really sorry for him in Game 2 because I think he had like 5 or 6 just unbelievable highlight reel saves, but he just couldn't get any goal support in front of him. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if Toronto can overcome this. John Tavares is another guy that needs to step up in a big way after the first 2 games. But in the end, they got the split in the first 2 games, and they're leading right now in Game 3. And I think we both suspected this series would go 7 games at least. But yeah, it's just really frustrating if you're a Leafs fan seeing Kadri do something dumb like that again.
And as a Bruin or a Leaf fan, it'd be frustrating to see your team lose this series right now with the possibility of playing Columbus in the second round instead of Tampa Bay. Going on to the West, we don't have a lot of time, but we'll touch on it quick. San Jose, Vegas, I think has been one of the more intriguing series. Stone, Pacioretty, Stastny line, unreal last night. Getting Stone and Stastny both had 5 points each. Pacioretty had 2. What do you think of that one? I mean, it looked to me like after Game 1, it was all San Jose, but Vegas is right back in it. The line, the fourth line I mentioned before with Ryan Reeves is really stirring the pot, and it seems like a crazy physical rivalry right now.
Oh, man, that Ryan Reeves, Evander Kane fight at the end of last night's game, holy crap. That was so good. But, yeah, Stone, Pacioretty, and Stastny have combined for 10 goals and 22 points in 3 games to start the playoffs. And, of course, yeah, Stone with the Hattie last night. Talk about, like, the best edition of the trade deadline. And Pacioretty, who I thought was a huge question mark going into the playoffs, he's really stepped up. And but the big thing for San Jose is Martin Jones. That was the one thing that was just like, you look at the regular season numbers, is pull a Braden Holtby and flip the switch. But no, he got pulled in Game 2. He did not look good in Game 3 as well. So and with the way Fleury, if Fleury just has to play above average basically for Vegas to win this series now, and especially being back on home ice for Game 4 as well, it's Vegas's to lose. Though that Game 2 was sort of crazy where Vegas went up 3-0, and I flipped the channel to watch, I think, the rest of the Winnipeg St. Louis third period, and then I come back and all of a sudden it's 3-3 in that game. So, and of course, Joe Thornton also got suspended 1 game today for his headshot on Thomas Nosek in last night's game as well. So that's a big loss there. And Marc-Edouard Vlasic is also out with an upper body injury. He took what looked like a harmless shot.
That's a huge loss for San Jose.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And it looked like it was like a harmless shot to his arm or whatever, but this must have hit him in the right spot, and that could be a long-term injury there.
Yeah, let's keep moving on here. Colorado, Calgary. Mike Smith came up huge in Game 1, and then Grubauer in Game 2 made some unreal saves, including one literally 5 seconds before Nathan McKinnon wanted it overtime. Pretty even series so far. Definitely some feeling coming into it. I'm very curious to see if Cale Makar will make a difference in his NHL debut. I guess tonight they're playing.
Yeah.
And, I'll be curious to see what he does. Do you see Colorado potentially still pulling an upset here?
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised because like the big thing I said was goaltending. Mike Smith it's like Mike Smith went from the fans booing him and everything all year to them chanting his name in the playoffs, and he's had 2 great games.
Yeah.
But Nathan McKinnon, man, like that overtime goal.
His hands and his speed are just unreal.
It's just like when he's moving, it's just like nobody can take him off the puck. That's the thing. It's just he's so strong on the puck, and what he can do with his hands. Like I think I was listening to the Spin Chicklets episode, and they were talking about, and it's not like when he's skating, it's not that he's just pushing the puck. He's stick handling constantly with the puck at full speed. Just sort of the way that he skates, and just the way that he can take over a game is just crazy. And Grubauer, that great save that he had right before McKinnon's OT goal, he's lived up to the hype as well with his strong ending to the regular season.
St. Louis, Winnipeg. I think that series has started a lot differently than some people predicted. Jordan Binnington playing unreal in Winnipeg, stealing a couple of games. With Winnipeg coming back and getting in his face. I mean, I even saw Dustin Byfuglien last night grab him by the face mask and try to pull his helmet off. And it seemed to go Winnipeg's way last night. If Winnipeg keeps playing that way, do you see them coming back, or do you see St. Louis regrouping in that series?
Yeah, like I think this could go either way because I want to see how Binnington bounces back tomorrow night, because that was the first time he'd given up 4 or more goals in an NHL game in his career. But Patrick Laine has had a huge impact. Three straight games with a goal after being super quiet towards the end of the season. But especially in last night's game, the Connor Hellebuck save before the 4th goal for Winnipeg, where he stopped the puck behind the net and then Maroon beat him, the Winnipeg defenseman, to the net, and then he came around, made the paddle save. And then Winnipeg goes down and wins or scores on the other end. That was a huge turning point in that game last night. But I think Winnipeg will win Game 4 and tie the series. I think this is a series where we both had it going to 7 games. But Binnington was actually pretty strong in the first period as well. He had a couple highlight reel saves.
Yeah.
It's a huge physical matchup, and I still think it can go all the way to 7 games.
Dallas-Nashville 1-1. In my opinion, it's not as exciting as some of the other series, but it is tight checking, hard hitting, and you better believe people got to keep their heads up. But I know you have Dallas, I have Nashville, I think, coming out of this series. What's been the difference there so far?
Well, Ben Bishop in net has been so good. Like, I thought, like that was like going to be my one reason if Dallas won this series was going to be Ben Bishop. And so far, he's played extremely well in net. Just a crazy bounce in overtime where it hit Polak up high and then Smith scored was like the only difference there. But yeah, the big thing, it's basically been Nashville's defense versus the big 3 in Dallas. I'd say just because Nashville's forwards haven't exactly put the puck in the net yet. Like Victor Arvidsson stood out at times, but it's mostly been, I think Roman Yossi's been the biggest standout for Nashville so far. But yeah, it's sort of
pretty nice too.
Yeah, it's sort of just one of those series. It's just like I'm watching. I'm just like, oh, I wouldn't mind a couple more goals here.
Yeah.
But yeah, both Rene and Bishop have been playing really well. It'll probably be another close game tonight as well. So that series can go either way. It just depends on who gets the right bounces at the right time.
Quickly update us on some other NHL news as the Philadelphia Flyers have their coach. We're going to save the Women's World Championship comments, I think, until next episode because we're really running out of time here. So who's the new coach in Philadelphia?
Yeah, so Alain Vigneault was reportedly signed to a 5-year, $25 million deal. I know, yeah. It's and AV, man. It's like we had him here in Vancouver for many years, and he's coaching New York, Montreal. So he's been all around in the big markets. So I think that's a great signing by Philadelphia. A couple other notes: Connor McDavid injury update. He has a partial tear in his PCL. It's a 3-month recovery, so he should be good to go for the start of next season. Also, a couple other teams that are in the playoffs. Noah Juleson, another local kid. He's been cleared to play next year. He had that crazy eye injury that kept him out for the rest of the season. And Milan Lucic apparently is in a cast with a lower body injury after some off-ice incident. So that's something to keep an eye. If you're an Oilers fan, another injury to keep an eye on. And also with Nashville, Wayne Simmons and Brian Boyle are both out week to week with injuries. Simmons, he took a Yossi slap shot off the knee, and Brian Boyle is, apparently had an appendix procedure, so he's out week to week there. Though Rocco Grimaldi, your buddy there, he had a big goal there in Game 2 to tie the game there. So, but yeah, those are like the big ones. And then of course, yeah, as you brought up, the women's Finland USA game we'll touch on next episode because man, talk about controversial and something that could have been huge for women's hockey if Finland would have been able to win that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So remember to like and follow us, comment, share. We see that the OV fight's going viral by lots of people sharing it, so we don't mind that. We're on Facebook at B&B Hockey Talk. YouTube, we're also B&B Hockey Talk. Like and subscribe. We appreciate all the support you guys give us, and we'll be back Wednesday with our next episode. I'm Aaron. He's Matt. Have a great evening, everyone.